Welcome to the Eat, Slay, Live podcast.
And we are the Loxecutioners. We're going to be eating lightning and talking thunder and power bombing you right in the ear holes today. Welcome to the Eat, Slay, Live Daily Grow with myself, Todd Locks, the People's Champion. Happy freaking Friday. I got the day right now. No one ever forgets that it's a Friday, do you? I'm running a little bit late today. Sorry about that. First of all, I thank our sponsor, CSG Tax Services. Get a hold of them. It's tax season. Get it done. Quit putting it off. Get a hold of my friend Shay Gardner. He'll become your friend in the tax business. Also, Kindly Savage. Thank you. Number 10 out of 115 people who bought shirts to help us raise money for our special power, special needs circuit. It goes out to my friend, Carrie freaking Denny. Happy freaking Friday, Carrie Denny. Thank you for buying a shirt. I've talked about Jonathan yesterday on the show, coach for Swick girls basketball team. Carrie, I trained both of her boys down at Pride. She has two of the greatest boys ever. Semi-okay athletes, but amazing freaking boys. They do a lot for charity and they work super hard. Couple pictures of me and Carrie. This is us dancing at the Bethalto homecoming. It's quite a beard I got there. This is, I think that's at Ty's wedding. I'm not sure. But anyway, Carrie's an amazing teacher in the Bethalto School District. Does so much good for the community. Anyway, thank you very much, Carrie. I'm starting a new segment here on Fridays, okay? Call me a nerd. Call me what you want. I love to read. I'm actually more of a fiction reader. A lot of people always send me like, hey, what's a good nonfiction self-help book to read? And or they send me ones that I should read. I don't read a lot of nonfiction. I say that. I'm always reading a fiction and a nonfiction at the same time. But the speed of the reading isn't quite the same. I always try to just read a little bit each day in one. And so what I thought we would do on Fridays, I'm picking a book. We're gonna do a little. I called it a fight book club. You know, because book club just sounds super dorky. So what we're gonna do is I'm picking a book and we're going to read it. I'll have some pages. Like the first week we read 20 pages, and then we just get on and kind of discuss it on Fridays. Now, if any people who comment on this, I'm going to choose 3 random people and I will send the book to you. Now, the book that we're going to do is How to Win Friends and Influence People. How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. Now, I feel like old Dale, he should have named it something different. I don't know. It sounds, the title makes you sound desperate, How to Win Friends and Influence People. But it's really not. It's more of a book about leadership, how to be a good leader, how to be a good friend, really how to be a good person, be good in sales. It's just really ways to how you should treat people. And a lot of the things you'll read in this book, you're like, I already know that, or that seems so simple. But sit back and think, are you actually doing those? I like to pick this book up. I read it. I actually read it in a book club. Our pastor Phil Sadika, who I've had on this podcast, he had a Friday morning men's group where we go over books, and How to Win Friends and Influence People was the first one we did, and I just loved it. I've bought it for so many people. I always put it in with wedding gifts I get people. If there's someone who's new, who's starting out in business, and they get a hold of me, a young kid, and he wants some advice, I always tell them, read this book. I mean, no matter how good you are at your job, if you treat people well, they will come back. And that's what this book mostly is about. A couple people, this is to tell you about the diversity of the book. A couple of people who have listed it as influential in their life is one, Warren Buffett. Everybody knows Warren Buffett. I think he's like the richest man in the world, something like that. And then Charles Manson. Charles Manson lists it as one of his most influential books in his life. And you say, Charles Manson, I don't want to read a book that Charles Manson says is influential. Touch the mic, drink. But I mean, think a guy like Charles Manson was able to influence so many people to follow him, to do things he asked them to do, and it was, and according to him, it was just using principles in his book how to treat people. So whenever I was a kid, we had and I just found this when I was doing research on the book last night. We had a sign that my mom had in the bathroom, and it said, "Today is the tomorrow that you worried about yesterday. Today is the tomorrow that you worried about yesterday." And that hung in our bathroom when I was a little kid. I don't know why that's the place where my mom put it, but I guess she thought you'd see it every day. But actually, the author of the book, How to Win Friends and Influence People, Dale Carnegie, that is an actual quote for him. And I actually saw a spin-off of that. Today is the tomorrow you dreamed about yesterday. So I'm getting off track a little bit, but you know what? You dream about doing all these big things and things like that. And you say, I'm going to do it tomorrow. Today is that tomorrow that you dreamed about. Now, How to Win Friends and Influence People. It was written in 1936. 1936. Now, you ask, how can that still be relevant? How can the principles he used in 1936, how can those still be relevant today? Well, it's all just about human nature. And I know we have all this technology and machines and just people on their phones all the time, but human nature has not changed at all. I'll bring something up here real quick. So if you want to get this book, you can see it here, How to Win Friends and Influence People. It's only $10. You can actually get it today. I don't know if the drones from Amazon Prime bring it to you, but it's $10. You can get it today. I'm going to take 3 people that comment on this, and I will send you the book. Here's a great quote from Dale Carnegie, also, who wrote the book. Today is the only life you are sure of. Make the most of today. Get interested in something. Shake yourself awake. Develop a hobby. Let the winds of enthusiasm sweep through you. Live today with gusto. He said, today is the only life you are sure of. I mean, today is your life. They said, tomorrow is never promised. All you know is the life that you have today. And so that we should start living it with some passion. So another great quote from this book that I like, and this book is all about kind of putting others first. I see it so much. One, just because of the business I'm in, being a trainer, but people love to talk about themselves, and we all find ourselves caught up in that. I mean, hell, I do this podcast and I talk about myself a lot, but I also get to, one thing that this podcast has taught me and reading this book has taught me is to ask people questions. And that's one thing I love about doing this podcast is I'm able to just find out what makes people tick, to find out people's story, find out how they got to where they are. Another quote from this book, and I love this, and it's so true. And my family, my fam band, say we're out somewhere and I'm talking to a stranger, they always say I'm podcasting them, because my conversation, I meet a lot of strangers when we're out, and I become friends with them. I become close with them, develop a relationship, because I'm podcasting them. And what they mean is I'm always asking questions. So, hey, where are you from? So how'd you end up here? How did you meet your significant other? And it's just, and there's a quote from this book that kind of talks about that. It says, to be interesting, be interested. To be interested, to be interesting, be interested. So meaning, like, you'll walk away from a conversation where you just podcast somebody, and like all you do is ask them questions, let them talk about themselves. Like they'll say, man, that person's interesting. It was asking all the questions. It's only because they get to talk about themselves. Another quote from Dale Carnegie from this book, along the same premises about, not just talking about yourself, talk to other people and be a good listener. He says, talk to someone about themselves and they will listen for hours. Talk to someone about themselves and they will listen for hours. So what I'd like to do is, if you can, go out and purchase the book. It's only $10. You can have it by the end of the day. We're going to do the first 20 pages of this book. Pull it up real quick. I always skip the preface and why the book was written. but it's part 1. If you want to gather honey, don't kick over the beehive. And it's 20 pages long. And so what we'll do is we'll read the 20 pages, and I'll just get on here and discuss it on Fridays. People can leave comments. People can jump on and give some of their feedback, and we'll just discuss it. What was I going to say? Yeah, so get the book. It's going to be fun. I can't wait to do it. It's not nerdy. And afterwards, we'll fight. Anyway, thank you for listening to the Eat, Slay, Live Daily Grow with myself. Thanks for growing with us, and slay on.